Long time no see, huh? The last time I spoke to you was somewhere in the middle of summer, if I remember well, and since then a lot of things changed. And at the beginning I was very concerned about making this video because it's not really like a sensational video, an inspiring video with a beautiful story and life is good and perfect and happy, but rather just a little life update that is not that is kind of hard, and it's a story of a hard time. But then I was thinking to myself and realized that in this world of social media, I think we need more raw and honest people and people who are sharing their truth. And I'm always gonna share my truth. No matter if it's hard, if it's happy, those are all moments that make life life. And without sad moments and hard moments, we wouldn't have happy moments. So this is a story of a hard time in life. And that story begins, well, somewhere at the end of June, when I just came back from Portugal. You know, I came back from Portugal fully inspired about life and pumped and full of plans about what I'm gonna do during the summer. And everything was perfect. Until, out of a sudden, all of that just disappeared. And that was when Tin and I started talking about breaking up. Yeah, this is a story about a heartbreak. Yeah, I can laugh now about it, but it wasn't funny back then. To illustrate how hard it actually was, we were in a relationship for 7 years, so since we were 16, so little teenagers, until now being 23, we basically raised each other into adults. We grew together. He's like my best friend, brother, lover, everything. That was a problem. When you're with someone for such a long period of time, you kind of build your whole identity around that person. And when that person is no longer in your life, you go through identity and life crisis, and your brain is just, oh, what is going on? Everything is falling apart. Yeah, I felt like that. The hardest part of making that decision was that we were making that decision for 2 months. It wasn't like a decision that happened overnight because we wanted to make the best decision possible, so we were deciding it for a long time. And that 2 months were 2 months of total pain, suffering, decision making, torture. It was terrible. So my whole summer basically was just terrible. First 2 weeks into making that decision were the worst 2 weeks of my entire life. I became physically ill. Like, I didn't know what was happening with me. I wanted to go to the doctor, and I never go to the doctor. I couldn't breathe properly. I just couldn't get enough air. I couldn't eat. Everything I ate, I wanted to throw up. I felt dizzy all the time. I felt like I'm gonna faint. And I felt like I lack something in my body, like I lack nutrients. I felt like someone is literally sucking the life out of my body. I didn't know what was happening with me. And then I googled it a little, and it's because of a heartbreak. Come on. What? I didn't know that that can happen. Anyway, I was just laying in bed and crying and trying to survive life, and I was going to work at the same time. It was just a terrible, terrible time. And while I was going to work in that period, I realized that we have no idea what people are going through in their lives. Like, you pass by so many people in your day-to-day life, and you talk to so many people, but you actually never know what's going on in their heads and in their lives, because so many people were just passing by while I was working and jumping into the store, and they would be like, Laura, what's up? What's going on? How are you? And I would just say, fine, good, but I was dying inside. So from that moment on, I realized, okay, you have no idea what's going on in people's lives, so just be kind to everyone, because you never know. So in that period of making a decision, everything stopped. I lost interest in everything, in making videos and taking photos, everything I loved. I couldn't do any of that. The only thing I could do was focus on that problem and solving that problem. So I started journaling a lot, watching a lot of YouTube videos about relationships and podcasts. That period was a period of learning about relationships. In that period, I actually discovered a person, Esther Perel. Now I'm reading her book. I'm continue learning about relationships. This is her book, Mating in Captivity. It's about eroticism and intimacy in long-lasting relationships. Yeah, actually, in that period, I learned a lot. After 2 months of that suffering and decision making and learning, we finally decided that we're gonna end this, and we broke up. Honestly, that moment when we decided it was a sad moment, but it was a moment of release. I felt like peace because although all that decision making was done, and now I was finally able to like look forward in life. Because when we were deciding it, you can't move on, but you feel like everything is falling apart. You're in that middle ground where you're stuck and you can't go forward, and things are not like they were before. So it's just a terrible, terrible present moment that you have to accept. After we broke up, the only thing I could do was sit with my journal. This was my best friend during that time. Every day, I would journal for 4 hours straight. So 4 hours a day, 10 days straight. I was asking myself question, and I was writing about our relationship, about what went wrong, what I did wrong, what I could have done better, what we could have done better, what I needed more of. A lot of these questions. And after 10 days of that, of doing that, I wrote a plan for the future, or things I want to change on myself to do better next time. I was kind of ready to move on. You know, I wrote 97 pages in a journal in less than 3 months. And after that, I honestly felt like there is nothing left that I didn't deal with inside. I was honestly ready to just move on with my life and continue because I had enough. September came, and September was a month of total mess. Mess with my emotions, a mess in my head, total mess. I felt everything. I was happy and sad and jealous and angry and enthusiastic and exciting. Just all the emotions at once. Total mess. But in that period, I kind of got back to my old self, my energetic self, energetic Laura that I had before. I started working out again. I transformed my anger into handstands, and now I know how to handstand. I was getting that old self back that I had years before, and that I kind of lost when I moved to Zagreb, because in Zagreb I started really shutting down and pulling into myself. I kind of lost that Laura that has a lot of energy and it's outgoing, but then it started coming back and I'm so happy. Except that September, during the summer, I wanted to write a business plan. I couldn't do anything during the summer. So I had 2 months left and I decided, well, I'm gonna write a business plan, because that seemed like a logical next step. You know, after our breakups, I couldn't think 1 month in advance. I couldn't plan, so I was just doing the next right step. In Croatia, when you want to open a business, you can get a support. If you write a business plan and if it passes, you get a financial support. So I was writing a business plan for that purpose. Also, in September, I ended up on a photo shooting. I can't really talk about it, but it was like 20 people with cameras around me. I had so much fun. I'm glad I had that experience. I loved it. I just loved it. In October, things started slowly calming down. I was still writing a business plan. Then I wrote a business plan. I got a response that it's positive, so I got the support, and the next logical step would be to open a business. So I I opened a business, which I have no idea how to operate. I have no idea how to lead a business. I don't know the paperwork behind all of that. It kind of stresses me out. I'm definitely not ready for that. I am a big advocate of throwing yourself into situations that you're not prepared for, because you're never gonna be ready for something. So just throw yourself into something and you'll figure it out on the way. So I threw myself into this business thing. that I'll have to figure out somehow. After all of that, I got COVID. Now I have COVID. Holiday season. I can't hang out with anyone. It's a nice end of a year. This is my update of this past 6 months that were definitely hard and wild. I'm slowly coming back. I wanted to tell you that if you're going through something like this, through some kind of shit like this, it gets easier. It gets even better than it was before. I'm honestly happy right now in my life. I'm slowly coming back to myself. I got this old energetic Laura back that I thought I lost forever, but much more wiser. You know, I got that depth in thinking. If I could go back in time and make a different decision, I wouldn't. I think this is the best decision that we could have made, and although it was hard, and although we didn't know what's waiting for us on the other side, we made the best decision, and I would never, never change it, because if this thing didn't happen, I wouldn't learn so many things about myself. I am extremely grateful that it did happen. And plans for the future, well, you know how in the last video I told that I feel torn between two things, between settling down and having a garden and all of that, and between exploring the world and traveling and seeing what the world has to offer. Well, forget settling down. I'm going into the world. I wanna travel, go on adventures. I'm young, I have a lot of energy, and one day I won't have that energy, so while I have energy and while I have time and will, I gonna see what's out there. If you're still with me after this pause of 6 months, I appreciate you so, so much. And since it's end of the year, I want to wish you a happy, blissful 2023. I hope you're gonna accomplish everything you want for yourself, and we're gonna rock this year together, people. I love you so much. Have a wonderful, blissful day and a happy new year. I'm gonna see you in the next video that's gonna be very soon. Thank you so much. Bye.